If you can relate to the experience of giving your power away, this video is for you. If you've been to see my videos before, welcome back. If you are new to seeing my videos, my name is Ross, and I'm an intuitive counselor. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about the concept or the idea of giving our power away and the way that that can show up in our relationships and some reasons why we might have this experience. And I want to start with a story, a personal story. And this is something that happened a little while ago. And I had a couple of conversations recently that reminded me of this and served as the catalyst to actually do this video. So when I moved to my current city, which is Vernon, I moved here without a family doctor. And last year in November, I had the experience of nothing serious, but I had some chest pain and it turned out to be not heart related. And, you don't take those things lightly. So I definitely went to the hospital and got it checked out. And that kind of set me on this course of like reflecting on my health and where I was at and wanting to take action around those things. The main point of that story, though, is that at that time, I didn't have a family doctor. And that became quite concerning because when it comes to getting results and all the things, it's like it's really challenging when you don't have a family doctor. And unfortunately, so many people are facing that problem right now. So long story short, I was able to get a family doctor. And I was very grateful for that and really happy that that was the outcome and went to see him. And one of the things that he did was he asked me to get a whole bunch of tests done and track my blood pressure and things like that. And after tracking my blood pressure for a time, he had some concerns about it being high and gave me a prescription for some blood pressure medication. And at the time, I was going to the gym, seeing a naturopathic doctor as well, and taking all sorts of actions around my health. And I really had this experience with the blood pressure medication of not wanting to take it. There was a part of me that knew it wasn't right for me to take this medication. And so I filled the prescription, read all the side effects, and just had this internal knowing that it wasn't right for me to do this. And I think I had a follow up appointment with him for a month after beginning this medication. And I was worried. I was worried because I had acquired this family doctor. I was really happy with that outcome. And following up, the first thing I was going to tell him was, well, I haven't taken this medication. And it was interesting because I had all sorts of stories in my mind, like he's not going to want to be my doctor. Um, he's going to push me to do something I don't want to do, and on, because, our minds are meaning making machines and we create stories of scenarios so that we can anticipate what might happen and then respond accordingly. So interestingly enough, I went to that appointment and I decided to just be, bold and upfront and honest, which is not unusual for me. I usually speak what's on my mind. And somehow in this situation, I felt powerless. I felt like the doctor had power because of who he was, because of the knowledge he holds, and because of his title. And so I gave my power away in that situation or leading up to that situation. And of course, like many things, I let him know and he said, that's fantastic. And all that matters is the end result. And what had happened was, without taking the medication, I had taken all sorts of actions and my blood pressure was actually going quite low. And he was thrilled with that. He's like, I don't care how you get to the end result as long as you get there and do what feels right for you. So I had this like disconfirming experience of this authority figure who I was granting power to and thought was going to behave in a certain way. And yet when I spoke my truth, that wasn't actually the the outcome. It happened to work out in a way that I didn't anticipate, which actually felt really good. And I think the reason that I want to share this story is that when we override that inner knowing that we have, it's an intuitive part of ourselves, it's a core part of ourselves. A lot of people refer to it as a gut feeling or a gut knowing. And when we override that voice, then we are in conflict with ourselves to start out with. And this is super important. And I'm sure that I've talked about this in other videos, and this is just another layer of it. We need to listen to this voice. We need to listen to this part of ourselves. And the reason that we don't listen to this part of ourselves is because we've had experiences which have taught us that it's not okay to listen to this part of ourselves, or that this part of ourselves won't be honored by the people around us. And unfortunately, if you've had emotional trauma, physical trauma, those experiences can be proof of that being the case. And so taking the quote unquote risk to speak your truth, to honor what you know inside, can be quite scary. And if we take that risk and we make that choice and we speak our truth, we can then experience an outcome that is different from what we experienced in the past. And that's the important piece, is to practice creating experiences that are different than what we experienced in the past. Just like my experience with the doctor of speaking my truth and having my truth honored. So there's some layers of complications around this, right? Because often in relationships, we repeat patterns and we invite similar people into our lives and we have the same thing happen again and again. And as you're doing this work, as you're starting to grow personally and challenge yourself and understand that boundaries are something that is okay to have, and that as a matter of fact they're a way of loving yourself and taking care of yourself, and speaking your truth is a part of that and a part of setting boundaries. And what I'm challenging you to do is to really own that part of yourself that knows. And when I think about the realm of human design and strategy and authority, those pieces of human design are really about that, knowing what is our truth, knowing how to use human design as a tool and strategy and authority as a tool to make decisions, to know what it is that we want and what we don't want. And ultimately, that's what a boundary is it sets in place something that defines, this is okay for me, this is not okay for me. This is what I want, this is what I don't want. A yes to yourself and a no to someone else. And that can be hard because sometimes the cost of speaking our truth can be the relationship that we want to be in. And on the other side of setting that boundary or speaking that truth or owning your power is another way of expressing it. We might have a circumstance that isn't the end result that we don't actually want. However, we will be in integrity with ourselves. We will feel aligned with our truth, and the shame and guilt that might come along with not owning our truth or not being true to our power is much more rewarding in the long run and gives us the ability to continue with that way of being in our next relationship. So I think I'll leave it there. Just some points to consider, some points to think about, and happy to have comments if you have any questions on this video. If you have topics that you'd like for me to cover in the future, please drop a line in the comments and I'd be happy to do a video on your requests. If you enjoyed this video, you can share it with someone else, and you can also hit the like button. If you're interested in the work that I do, you can visit my website, and that is in the description of this video. And I look forward to seeing you again next time and sending you unconditional love.